Hello YouTube, Great RJ1 here. I am back today doing another concept video, this time for Grand Moff Tarkin, which you probably knew by the title of the video. So, let's begin, shall we? No long intro this time. So, his health will be 700, which is the normal for my, basically, you could say, guides things. Well, they're not really guides, they're concepts, so it's pretty much the normal for the concepts. His health recovery will be 250, being quite average. So next would be, so his weapon, since he never used the blaster, I'm going to give him the DL-18. It was a weapon used by bounty hunters in the Empire time, but I feel like this could also work well for the Empire, so I'm going to make it his main weapon. Stop shooting the shields! Now this will basically be his health and his weapon. He can fire 15 shots before overheating. The damage for it will be 150 to all classes on the body shot, and then 200 for headshots on infantry, and 170 for heroes and reinforcements. So we got all his damage outputs and stuff like that out the way. Now we can get into all the other stuff, his abilities. Now keep in mind the rate of fire for the D6 for the DL-18 will just be the same as the normal infantry officer blaster. So do keep that in mind. So now we can get into it. His abilities. His first ability will be called Explosive Shot. This will make him be able to do 3 explosive shots before it goes fully into cooldown. Now these will be a bit like Lando's sharp shot, basically, without a timer. Basically, you basically activate it, and then it stays activated until you begin the shot. This will deal 200 damage to all classes and will not have a damage drop off, and it will not increase on damage depending on the class. So 200 damage to all classes. However, I probably would reduce its damage on heroes to about I'll probably reduce its damage on heroes over to about maybe to about 100. Yeah, probably wouldn't. Then it would just be a more powerful version of his blaster, but it would have splash damage. So yeah, and it cannot be blocked. So I'm assuming. So I probably wouldn't make it too powerful. Actually, I'll probably give it a 190 damage. On heroes, maybe 180, but then that's basically just 10 more than its normal damage. So probably 10 damage on basically all heroes. So 190 damage for all heroes, maybe 200. Really, just depends which one you prefer. I prefer 200s, but for balancing reasons, he'll only deal 190 for now. Anyway, that he can fire 3, but the ability will act like Yoda, Luke's, and Maul's dash attacks, where it will always be in recharge after you use one. Now it can be increased on how many shots you do, but through star cards. So yeah. So now we can get into his middle ability. Now the explosive shot will probably be called Imperial Tactics or something like that. I did think of something like that, with the abilities at least having one time, at least when saying Imperial. So, yeah. Anyway. His middle ability would give him a health buff. This will probably be called Imperial Strategy, or Strategy, however you say it. This would give him the health buff. So, and the reason why, Grand Moff Protection, that's what I was going to call it. Basically, the reason why it's called that is because the reason why he was never was attacked by Vader, apart from their small duel, was because Palpatine told him to not kill Tarkin because he was a valuable asset. So that's why it's called Grand Moff Protection, because he's basically protected. Now, yeah, that's why. So it's going to be called Grand Moff Protection, and we'll give him a 150 health buff. So yeah, that will be what it is for that. And they seems to be able to regen 310 health, because I was at 1 health for a second. Anyway, for his final ability, this one would be called probably Imperial Tactics, with the first one probably being called Imperial Strategy. So the first one is Imperial Strategy, the last one is Imperial Tactics. This will make in place a grenade, but disguised as one of Leia's thermal detonators, or one of the hero, or at least one of the hero grenades. Basically, what will then happen is that it will stay where it is, and you'll only have one of them. But basically, this will be disguised as one of the basically grenades in the game. That's used by heroes. And what will basically happen then is that once an enemy comes close in contact with it, it will explode. So yeah, he has two abilities that can attack enemies, and one ability that heals him. The reason why his middle ability will only heal him is because it was only him that was told he was a valuable asset. Might have also been Thrawn, but he'd be his own hero, and I feel like that should also just be, so he should also have an ability for himself, which is basically like that. I feel like that should be much better. Anyways, that is basically it for his abilities. The Detonator will basically deal 150, basically would deal 200 damage to all infantry, and 170 damage to all heroes and reinforcements. But this is still a powerful ability because it allows you to get damage on your enemies that you otherwise probably would not have been able to get to before. Now I'll just demonstrate the weapon in the game right now, the DL-18. I'll swap it back over to the SC-44C once I die, but this is basically it. This would be his weapon, with increased damage of course, but yeah. But that's basically how the weapon is. It's basically a rapid fire weapon. So that's basically its weapon. So yeah. And if you were wondering more so layer gameplay, I was going to do Battlefront 2015 directed Krennic gameplay. But for how offline works on it, and it shows some of your friends' progress on it, on some of the offline modes, well, pretty much every single one on the hero battles, I think, then I would not want that to be shown. So it's why I did not basically do it. So I ended up with layers, since there's basically no one on the dark side that's basically which is basically male, and as the blaster pistol for their weapon on the dark side, if I'm correct. And it's usually just a rifle or like a heavy blaster or something like that. So yeah, but I think Moff Tarkin would have made a great hero for the game, and probably would have been one of the funniest, because he's such an interesting character. But I think the DL-18 blaster would have done really well for him. Now I know I make the blaster damage pretty insane, and I don't usually put it under 100s. I think, well, it's meant to be a hero blaster, so might as well be powerful. Because why not? So yeah. And I was about to roll as well. But to finish it off, let's get some Lando gameplay, shall we? But yeah, that's basically it for Tarkin until we get to his star cards and appearances. Now I can only really think of 3 appearances for him, which are pretty much worth using. So yeah, but shall I show you a cool trick with Lando? I don't know if this happens for everyone, but it's basically a glitch. So if you are in his zoom and you activate sharp shot, it usually ends. It usually doesn't do it. It might be at certain times, or you have to press it as soon as you go in. I'll see if I can perform it. Basically, you get him stuck in that animation. You know, that animation, he gets stuck in it, so now I have to wait for it to come back. I'll place that here so I can get everyone that I see with that. Right, so usually you just get stuck in that animation and then you don't come out of it. Usually, so yeah. Anyway, that's basically it for everything for Tarkin to begin this off. This was section 1, so now we can get to section 2, section 3, and maybe section 4, depending on the emotes. So let's see if I can think of any emotes, but I think there's at least one emote worth putting in. So yeah, nearly at 500 for this, nearly halfway. But yeah, I think there is at least one worth being, there's at least one emote being worth in the game, which I'll go over when I get to the emotes section. So yeah. Change that back. So now we can get into all the emotes. All the star cards for him. I'll choose Lando since we began with Leia. So the first star card, this will allow him to throw down another detonator, but the recharge time of it is slightly increased. I did not go over their cooldowns. The explosive shot, this will have about a 5-second it would have about a gets 15-second cooldown for how long it is, for how powerful it is. So yeah, we have about 15 if not 25-second cooldown. I think 25 is pretty reasonable. The middle ability, which gives him the health buff, it doesn't get any of the extra perks than it. It's basically Yoda's presence but improved. So I'd probably give it a 15-second cooldown. And the detonator ability, it's pretty powerful, so I'd probably give it a 15-second cooldown, since it doesn't do much damage from what its normal blaster is. So this would go from 2 shaved off seconds to 3 to 4 to 6, so you get 6 seconds shaved off all your cooldowns, at least your ability cooldowns. Next up, this will increase his health regen. This will go from 50 to 75 to 90 to 100, giving him a 350 health regen once maxed out. Basically about half of his health bar. Well, hang on. Yeah, basically, if you get down to about 450 health, you're going to still be able to regen all your health. Next up, you get more explosive shots, and this will basically depend on how it is. I don't want to make it crazy overpowered where you get 4 extra ones, because it already had 3, so I'll probably make it so you get a recharge time, you get a charge time at a certain star card level. So the first tier you only get 1, but you have a limited time to do the last one, which will be that. Next one, you don't have a limited time for it and you still get 1. Next one, you have a limited time but you have 2 extra ones, and the last one again will be having that limited recharge time, having that limited time to be used. And the last one will just be a free one to use, and it does not have that charge time. So you get 5 explosive shots. I feel like this ability is pretty overpowered, but for how long of the recharge it is, which is about 20 seconds if I'm correct, no 25, I think it's pretty balanced. But you can still use all 5 in a row, but all of them will begin to go, but yeah, you'll have to, but just to balance out how long each recharge is, if you use all your explosive shots, then if you use all your explosive shots, then all of them will go into cooldown and they'll immediately come back once the cooldown ends. Next, this will basically increase the radius of the grenade. The timer it begins to in the radius it begins to explode, which will also increase the radius of its explosion. So this will go from 25 to 30 to 35 to 40% extra radius, which will also increase the blast radius of it, and it won't increase the damage but basically increases its blast radius. Next one, this star card will basically improve how much heat his blaster picks up. Now there will not be any of this 2% to a maximum for any business, because usually in a hero mode or something like that, you'll usually be dying way more before you can reach the maximum heat reduction on it, so it doesn't really matter on it. So I'm not going to give it pretty much anything like that. So yeah, anyway, I might do, but it'll be a much higher percentage than just 2. Anyways, this one would increase the amounts of shots to be able to be fired from the gun. This will go from 16 to 18 to 19 to 20. So we can shoot 20 shots before it needs to go into cooldown. Next up, he gets extra health on his health buff. This will go from 20 to 30 to 40 to 50, giving him 200 extra health on the health buff. So this really helps him, because it ups his health if it's used from 850 to 900 health if he's at maximum health with this star card on, with the ability active. Next, don't know what to make this card. I would do increased health, but that would be a bit too powerful for him, and it only has a health regen card as well. So what do I do for this? I don't want to do increased damage because his damage output is already insane. So maybe the explosive shot has increased splash damage, so it has a larger radius when it hits a surface, meaning that you could hit beside your enemy and it could be a little bit further away, and it could be able to be hit more often, or you could hit multiple enemies at once with it. I feel like this would go from 5% to 10% to 15% to 20% larger radius, if not 4%, 6%, 8% to 10%, or 2 to 3 to 4 to 5. I feel like the 10% will be a bit more reliable, would be a bit good, but I feel like the 5% would not make it too overpowered, because it's already a pretty OP ability. Next up, this star card will probably just decrease the recharge time of his health buff. This is probably his most useful ability when he's in a sticky situation and he can't regen, or and has trouble regening his health, or can't regen the health. So I feel like this ability would be one of his most useful. This would probably give him, this would probably reduce the recharge time of it. So I had it at 15 seconds, didn't I? So this would basically change it from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5, giving it a 10-second cooldown. And by the way, the ability will last for about 10 seconds. So you basically have it for the same amount of time as it does for the regen with this card. And finally, his health regen delay is decreased. The health regen delay is about 2 seconds, and the health recovery from it at low, at default health, from as soon as it gets broken, will be about maybe about 3 seconds to recharge it all back. So this just decreases its delay, so it would basically go from 0.1 to 0.5 to 0.9 to 1 second, basically giving it a 1 second delay. Now, best star cards to get used: the health regen card for hero modes. I'd probably say this maybe the card that reduces the cooldown on it of all his abilities, because his abilities make him what hero he is and how powerful he is. Now the last one's pretty much up to what you think, really. I'd either go with the increased health for the health card, or the health build, or the damage build up, the heat build up. I'd probably go with the extra health though, since it gets you up to 200 health when it's activated. So anyway, let's get into his appearances. He'd have his default appearances. This would be this appearance from A New Hope, and it'd be called Grand Moff. Now the next appearance will be his appearance in the Clone Wars. However, he will not appear in the Clone Wars era, because keep in mind he was on the good side, he was on the Republic when that happened, so he's not going to switch sides, so he's not going to appear, and this will be just the skin for it. However, if he does appear, that if there was a map that was added, which was added and over to the Galactic Empire, which takes place just before the Bad Batch, or a little bit before it, like just before Order 66, he may be playing with this appearance, if not the next appearance. This one will probably be called Galactic or something like that, whatever it is really for the Republic. And this one would be his Bad Batch appearance, where he appears the way he appears in the Bad Batch. So really not too many appearances for him, but then it's not too few either. I feel like those on the main appearances you would see him in. I feel like the main appearance you probably see people running in with him as is either the Grand Moff appearance or the Bad Batch appearance. Now there's only really one emote I think is worth adding to the game, and this would be you may fire when ready. I feel like that's the only emote that's actually needed. Now back to figuring out how to do the thumbnail. I might use a Han appearance or something like that and use that as a template, and then basically I don't know how I'm going to do it. I always have to pick a hero that's so complicated to make, don't I? Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.